Joining us now is Barb McQuade, former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. Barb, thanks as always for being here, and thanks in advance for your wisdom.
Oh, you bet, Alex. Thanks for having me.
So what does it mean practically in terms of the Justice Department's fear or investigators' fear that some of these documents may have been flown effectively, courtesy of Air Trump, to New York and New Jersey? Does that mean they're trying to cultivate witnesses? Does that mean this entire thing may expand to new states with new judges? What can you tell me from a legal perspective how this affects things?
Well, two thoughts come to mind. One is they know that some of the documents are still missing because they keep records of what they have. So they know that some things on their list have still not been returned. They know that they also had empty file folders that tended to appear to have previously contained documents that are no longer there. So they clearly believe that some of these documents have not yet been returned. And now the question is, where are they? And they know that Donald Trump has not just his Mar-a-Lago property, but all these others. So the second thing I think that is happening here is they are trying to develop probable cause to search some of these other locations. You can't just go in and search based on a hunch or a suspicion. You have to have witnesses who say, or some other evidence that can show that there is a reasonable grounds to believe that evidence will be found at those locations. If they can get a witness to say, oh, yeah, I know that Donald Trump took some of these documents with him when he went on a trip to Bedminster or he went on a trip to Trump Tower, that could provide the probable cause they need to get a search warrant for those locations so that they could look for the documents there.
The unmasking of these two witnesses down at Mar-a-Lago, in your professional opinion, do you think that has a chilling effect on future potential witnesses, say in Bedminster or Trump Tower, or does it have an emboldening effect?
As a prosecutor, we always sought to protect the identities of witnesses. I know oftentimes people believe or suspect that it's the government that is leaking information or the names of people, but I can't believe the government is leaking the names of witnesses that could get burned here or even harmed. And even if, Trump isn't going to do anything to hurt them, there are all kinds of people out there in the world who can be really spun up by this and try to harm them, threaten them, harass them. And so I think this has a chilling effect on other witnesses. Those who might be willing to stick their neck out and say what they saw or what they know might be less inclined to do so if they think that they're going to be outed and ostracized and maybe even threatened or harassed.
When we think of the fact that Trump is reviewing these documents down in Mar-a-Lago and may have chosen specific documents to take with him to points north, how does that reframe all of this in terms of the intentionality and the involvement of the potential involvement of the president in an obstruction case?
I think it does a couple of things, Alex. One, it really dispels any defense that Trump might have had that he didn't know what was in these boxes. I think in the very early stages, people might have been inclined to believe that, a lot of stuff just got boxed up in the chaos of January 20th when he was moving out. Things got thrown in boxes. Who knows what was there? And now they're trying to negotiate the return of those documents. If he is the one who's removing things, going through them, transporting them from point A to point B, then I think it becomes much harder to dispel that. I also think it can account for an aggravating factor. You may recall that when Jim Comey stated, quite famously, that the FBI was recommending against charging Hillary Clinton, he said the reason for that was that even though one could charge somebody for being grossly negligent in handling classified documents, when they look at the history of all the cases that have ever been charged, no case has ever been charged in the absence of some aggravating factor. And those aggravating factors could include a willful violation of the law, storing them in such a way as to risk exposure or obstruction of justice. If you look at those factors here, Trump is 3 for 3 if he is doing what he is alleged to be doing.